Hello. You are tuning into City of Five Nations podcast, and you might have expected to see Daniel Shaughnessy, but he has graciously given me his mic for this week so we can talk about how to do business in this sort of new environment. My name is Cari Berlin, and I am with 20 West Works. That is a co-working and business incubation space on Main Street in Shawnee. And, I've been thinking a lot about how to get back into business. We sort of all abruptly, with very little warning, had to sort of shut down our businesses and wait out a sheltering in place period. I've been sheltering in place at home. I've been missing my grandkids. And I've been thinking a lot about how small businesses are going to get back into the economy. And so when Daniel gave me this opportunity, I did some calls, and some folks have agreed to come on and be interviewed this week, and I'm very excited about that. And we're just going to talk about the opportunities and challenges of getting back into business in this new sort of environment. And it's just a conversation. There are no right and wrong answers. This is a time to give each other a lot of grace and space as we try to figure all this out. But I'm excited that my first guest is Chris Peters, and he is a 2007 graduate of Oklahoma Baptist University. There he is. Hi, Chris.
Hey, how you doing? Good morning.
How are you doing? Thank you so much for joining me and being the first interviewee in this little series.
It's an honor to be the guinea pig.
Well, good. Wait, let's see. You graduated from OBU, and then your family went west. Is that right?
We did. My wife is from California, and she came out here for a few years, loved the school. They treated her really well. She's a nursing grad, and they have a great program. Okay. She decided she wanted to get back to the family and Disneyland and the beach. And as you know now, Disneyland's closed. The beaches are closed.
I know.
but we had a premonition, I guess. We decided that wasn't where we wanted to raise we had two kids, and we decided that's not what we wanted to do. We wanted to come back to Oklahoma and set back up where we'd met and kind of where our community was.
Okay, fantastic. And you also have a master's degree from Oklahoma State, is that right?
I do, yeah. She stuck with me all the way through 2 degrees. And yeah, good. She was ready to hit the beach again. But yeah, I went to Oklahoma State, and a master's degree is in human development, family science, and did some marriage and family therapy while I was there. Not licensed, but that was my training. It was a great program, great experience.
Yeah, that's great. Well, you're back now, and you're still involved with OBU. Is that right?
Yeah, very much so. Dr. Will Smallwood asked me to be part of the alumni board because we'd been maintaining connection, and he knew how much I cared about the school. So that was a big honor. I've been in with a lot of people with more experience and connections than myself. And we've been really enjoying just kind of figuring out what's next for OBU, what's it going to look like, and how do we evolve? How do we get more students to discover us? How do we involve alumni, and how do we involve Shawnee? We've had a long relationship, and what does that really look like moving forward together?
That's great. And then you're also very involved with Shawnee Forward. Is that right?
Yeah, Jeremy and Lindy, they got a hold of me pretty early, and they've been a great resource.
They do that.
Tim Berg's been great. Yeah, they grab you quick, but they're so good at their job. And Tim Berg even had me in his office and was very ready with the resources. Who do you want to call on? Who do you want to start a conversation with? Here's 25 resources. Here's all these people, and here's all these cell phone numbers. So they really made me feel at home as someone doing business here in Shawnee. And we were more than happy. My company was more than happy to let me join on their behalf. And it's been a really good experience.
Well, cool. Now, let's talk a little bit about that. You work for Treat Solutions. Can you tell us what that company is all about?
So they're one of the last independently owned distributors of janitorial type products. There's 2 or 3 in the state still. There used to be 30. But like many companies, they've been bought out and consolidated. So we're family owned still, started in Ada, moved the main warehouse to Oklahoma City to be closer to Interstate 40. But they've been delivering to Shawnee for all of that time. We do a lot of school partnerships, which has been different lately. A lot of commercial work, floor specialist, sanitation, things everybody wants to know about right now, which is kind of funny. I didn't
Right.
expect to be
Right.
thrust into the limelight. I've been there about a year. So suddenly,
Right.
you're supposed to have all
Suddenly
the
you're the
answers,
expert.
which is interesting.
Right. So you
Suddenly,
do,
yeah, which is
yeah, suddenly,
terrifying, but
right. So you do focus on commercial cleaning and disinfection, right?
right.
Okay. Okay.
So we have mostly for schools, but I do a lot of supermarkets.
Okay. Well,
Um,
hopefully we can have a chance to get
a
into
lot.
a few tips on ideas on how to maybe how to make sure that we are taking care of our spaces the way we should. But I want to talk first about our customers because we're here to talk about sort of the challenges and opportunities as we sort of try to get back into business. And one of the things that we all do in business is we're trying to meet a customer's need. And can you talk a little bit about what that need is? What is that problem that you're trying to solve for your customers? And maybe how has that problem changed or evolved over the last few months?
Yeah, we've learned so many new buzzwords lately that we never even thought were a thing. Like social distancing, what was that 3 months
Right.
ago?
Who knew? Who knew?
So had to learn a new dictionary of things. Lately, my phone's just been ringing off the hook, asking about how are we going to reopen safely and what do you
Mhm.
recommend? Can you come take a look at what we have? So really, the problem is, how do we do business? How do we get together as people? How do we get together as a church
Mhm.
family without
Right.
overexposing anybody? We want to be smart. We want to be safe. You said it really well about giving people a lot of grace.
Mhm.
For my church, we took a vote and it wasn't unanimous, but most of the people said let's give it a try. And we're fine with the people that didn't want to show up the last 2 Sundays. We're not upset by that, because no one has
Right.
the answers. We all have different level of comfort, so that's been interesting too. Just kind of, well, where are you at? What are you comfortable with? Okay, how can
Mhm.
we make you more comfortable? How can we respect you? And yeah, just proceeding with a lot of grace. But yeah, the reopening question has been huge because there's so many things people bring thrown. What do we need and where do we find it and how can we keep getting it, because we don't want to close in 2 months just because we don't have supplies.
Right.
So that's
Right.
been interesting.
I've noticed that you did a little bit of a pivot or an adjustment in your product, or at least you're offering something new. For me, with the space at 20 West Main, you had called me and you'd offered sort of a package deal for specifically for this time, and I really appreciated that you were really thinking about your customers and thinking they might need a specific type of or set of product. Is
Mhm.
that's one way that you've pivoted?
Yeah, that's been a brand new thing. That was kind of fun because I worked in California, came here, and right before I moved, we were doing a lot of kitting. So people
Mhm,
would need certain electronic components, and rather than have to buy them maybe more than they needed,
mhm,
but they needed like 4 or 5 different things, we figured out kind of how to kit together commonly used items in a reasonable quantity, so nobody had to overbuy. And we saw
mhm,
that really take off online. It just really spoke to a need. So my company here heard me talk about how well that had gone. And so when this
mhm,
happened and they said, well, there's a need, people need like 4 or 5 different items, but they don't want to buy hundreds of anything. We came up with kits. So we've got a kit to make wipes. We've got a kit with basically, we read Governor Stitt's guidelines and we said,
mhm,
okay, what do we have that would fit in those guidelines that would be reasonable, that people
mhm,
would like to have on hand to make them feel better about opening up? So masks and hand sanitizer, disinfectant, something to wipe the disinfectant, things like that. Yeah, we put that all together, and it's just been one of those things. I let all the people I had an email address for, tried to make it personal. You don't want to spam people; that's just more stressful. But just let them know I have this if it's something you need. Um, it's about enough to get you through for 2 or 3 months, and hopefully we're in a better place 2 or 3 months. And if you need me after that, great. If you don't, hey, I'm just happy I could help you this time.
right. I thought it was really timely because I'm concerned about the space and making sure that people
Mm-hmm.
are safe whenever they come in. And I really appreciated just having the mix of things that are put together in a kit you made it easy to buy and you delivered. So I really appreciated that. Did you have something of a pent up demand as you begin to open, or have you had to do some work to bring in some more business?
Yes and no. Some of it is pent up even now. There's that big rush on toilet paper, and
Right.
And we, being a commercial dealer, we had access to toilet paper. So we bought a whole bunch. And currently, the market has bounced back, and I'm grateful that it has. Now we're not so hurting for toilet paper as general consumers. I shop the same place you probably do, Walmart, Aldi,
Right.
Homeland,
Right.
Fire Lake, but they didn't have any for a little while. And we bought so we would have, and now we have plenty, more than we needed. So some of that is pent up, and you just wait for the market to absorb that, and you're just glad that you have it, and didn't have to gouge anybody in the process. We just want to make sure we had it.
Right.
So that's pent up. Some of it we've had to get real creative, like hand sanitizer. Everybody needed it, and everybody needed alcohol based, and that was a little strange for us because 50% of our business comes from school systems, and to date we haven't really done alcohol based hand sanitizer in a school because kids will eat it, kids will light it on fire. Not to give anyone ideas at home, but people have thought of this in years past, and so we said, "Ooh, that's too much of a risk. We need to get them something that they can't do that with, can't hurt themselves with." And so we've been doing non-alcohol. So that was a little bit of a shock. We had to adjust pretty quickly. Well, now they need alcohol. That's what the CDC says, so that's what we're going to do. So we've got some that was made kind of last minute, but we make sure everything meets the requirements and has the right percentage, and we test everything to make sure the packaging is workable. But yeah, we've had to get real creative with making disinfectant wipes and getting hand sanitizer that somebody made and things like that. So yes and no, it's been pent up, and some of it's been real lean.
Good. We have a question on Facebook. Let me read it. It says, has Chris received any kind of advice or resources from Shawnee Forward given to members for small business reentry?
They have sent some really good stuff. I think the best, I can't remember, I'm in two chambers. One is Cushing, that's kind of my northern base, and Shawnee is, of course, where I live and work mostly. One of them, I want to give credit where credit's due, sent some really good resources. Both of them have sent great resources, but I really latched on to, there's a particular PDF that went out to a lot of people. I've seen the same PDF grocery stores that I've dropped in at. But they did really well with putting together signage. So ready-made 8.5 by 11 posters that you could just print, and everything looks together and professional. It's all CDC approved. That was really helpful. If you look up Reopening Guidelines Oklahoma, I think that's pretty easy to find. There's a whole website about kind of how we're going to follow the phases and what our situation looks like. It's different everywhere, but
right. And I'm also a member.
That was real helpful to have the signs that you didn't have to have somebody get a desk up.
Right. Yeah. We're
Are
also
you
a member of 20 West Works, and I've really appreciated. They send out links really regularly of very applicable articles and things that we need to be thinking about as we as we went into sort of the shutdown or sheltering in place, and then as we're beginning to come out of it. So they're doing a good job of sharing as often as they can the resources that they have available. So
there's a lot out there. I'm sorry, I don't remember where everything's come from, but there's a lot. And Shawnee Forward has been in the conversation. I've read a lot of things that Jeremy has put together and published, so they've been very relevant, which I've appreciated. I've called them a lot. I even called them, hey, I'd like to get some dress clothes. I just realized nobody's open. Where do I get some shoes? Where do I get a jacket? And Jeremy had the number for the manager at Dillard's and said, hey, they're doing drive-up service, and he sent me to Shepherd's Menswear. And I met another great Shawnee local business that I'd never walked into before, and they were great people. So that's cool. Like, if you need something and you realize it's closed, Jeremy might just have a way to email or call. Yeah, you little things that you take for granted normally.
Yeah.
So he's been really helpful with that kind of thing.
Very cool. Well, do you find that your customers, are they trying to rebuild trust with their customers? Not that they've lost trust, but we're all a little bit anxious, about going back out into the community. How are you helping your customers sort of make sure that the people they serve are comfortable and feel like they can trust the environment?
Right. Yeah, we're in a weird place where we're kind of back in like high school biology, learning germ theory, which is kind of different. And we're also, trying to do PR. And so part of it in my industry, we're learning how to kill the germs. And there's some research, but the research changes so quick. And the other part is just making people feel good about coming back and doing business. So a lot of it is perception. There's a lot of science, but there's a lot of perception. And so, yeah, we've been doing a lot. Signage, I think, is huge. I had a conversation with a store manager And he was just saying, how do I clean my carts? I have limited manpower. I can't dedicate somebody to always be out in the parking lot gathering carts. And so I said, I have to win that battle with signage. So if you have a clean cart stall and a dirty cart stall, start clean. How long will it take you to disinfect all your carts? He said, oh, about an hour. Great. Have somebody come in an hour early, disinfect all the carts, and then put signage and keep an eye on it from your window and make sure people are putting things back in the dirty stall, and then lock that up and just let them grab from the clean. You may have one that doesn't read the sign and goes and grabs a dirty cart, and you can nicely let them know. But just by doing that, people know that you're keeping an eye on it. You're doing the right thing. And people also see, because they can read the signs, oh, this store is doing the right thing. So I can feel a little bit better about shopping here. And his numbers have been good. There's steady stream of people. That's just one of the instances. But yeah, so much about perception.
Right.
Churches are fighting that battle too, because they don't normally deal with this. They're not a commercial type cleaning endeavor. They're like a volunteer. And so we've done a lot of how do we make our members feel safe, especially the older ones. And maybe they just need to stay home for a few more weeks, but how do we help them see that we're taking steps? So that's been interesting too, because that's a whole new world for many churches, having to really clean at a new level.
Not something they've ever had to think about before.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've written policies and procedures, and I've done all kinds of crazy things just to help out and help people to think about those things.
Right. I think the odd thing about the times right now is sort of all the rules have changed. So, we knew how to do business, we knew how to do church, and then suddenly sort of everything changed, and there's actual rules that are coming down from, the governors and the mayors, and but then there's just sort of the rules of social distancing and all those new terms. So we're all trying to kind of come to grips with that. In your industry, what is sort of rising to the surface, or sort of the wave of things that people are really focused on?
People are real interested in doing things hands-free as much as possible, which is helpful. You almost bring in industrial organizational psychology into this, because little things I'll notice now. You'll go to a restroom and you've got the trash can over here to your right, say, and the door is over to your left. Well, ideally, you want to wash your hands. You've read the sign, 20 seconds with warm water, and then you want to use a towel, because that removes more germs than an air dryer. But then you want to use a towel to open that door, and you want to drop the trash can. But if the trash can's over here, the door's over here, so little things like that. I've been trying to help people think through that type thing. It's really in depth, faster than
Right. Who do you look to? I mean, I know you're working with Treat Solutions specifically, but as an industry, who do you look to for those kind of guidelines?
Sure. Well, the ISSA is kind of our cleaning confederation. Anybody that makes, manufactures, sells anything in the cleaning industry is usually a member. That's the largest one. So proportionally, most of us are a member of that. So that's a worldwide cleaning resource. And so if there's somebody comes up with a widget that disinfects 4 times as fast as anything else on the market, that'll hit ISSA, and we'll all read about it, learn about it. And some of us get access, some of us don't. That gets decided in among different distributors and manufacturers. But they do a really good job. They've got several certification courses that anybody can sign up for. So a school custodian, a church custodian could sign up for basic, how do you disinfect, and how can you be more aware of germs in the workplace. So they do a lot of really good course content and certification, and they do a big show, normally in Vegas every year, where everybody brings their wares, and they kind of show what's evolved. So this year is going to be real interesting, because there's 4 months left until they normally have that trade show. And everybody's going to have some way to rapidly wipe out viruses.
Yeah.
And that'll be interesting. We've got a lot, but there's going to be even more, because people are smart. They come up with new solutions all the time.
Right. And, 2, 3, 4 months ago, who knew that we would be so interested in sort of this whole topic of, being hands-free and being trying to rid our environments of germs and things like that. So it's challenging as a business owner to really think about how to do all the work to get back into the economy. And there's a lot of pieces, a lot of moving parts. How do you take care of yourself as a sort of a leader in this industry and trying to get back into the economy?
Sure. Well, as far as, I'm blessed, I guess, to not own the business directly because
Right.
I don't envy some of those decisions right now. They're working really hard, but I'm glad to see that a lot of resources being made available. Just personal care. I spend a lot of time with my family, so we've been walking a lot lately. The other day, I'll try to walk the neighborhood, and I figured it's about a third of a mile, and if I'm pushing a stroller, I can do that in 7 minutes. But the other day, it took me about 45 minutes to get around the neighborhood once because everybody wanted to come out and talk, and
Talking to everybody,
they
right.
wanted to oogle the baby. They wanted to say, "Hey, are you new here?" Well, I've been here 2 years, so kind of, and it's just, we're all kind of sheepish that we've never said hi before. But I mean,
Right.
every other house has got somebody doing yard work that wants to visit, and so I mean that really feeds my soul. I'm an introvert turned extrovert, and OBU had something to do with that. But yeah, I love talking to people, and so taking that time with neighbors is great. I like to take that time with customers. I'll go to a Homeland is one of our big partners. I'll walk into Homeland, and I know all the meat guys and the produce guys and the people that do the cleaning, and they're just fun to talk to. You want to hear what's going on, and they'll give me all kinds of stories, and I'll ask how their family's doing, and it's just having a human relationship really makes this so much more worthwhile. you
Mhm.
know i've I've made it a point, especially people working in grocery stores, any grocery store I shop in, make it a point to say, hey, what you're doing is really valuable, you're keeping us fed, and I really appreciate it. And that means something to them, and that gives you a little something whenever you've encouraged somebody and seen them kind of accept that and appreciate that. It just kind of makes you feel more connected, I think.
Yeah.
That's been huge, and we've been blessed. All the churches have been real creative as far as getting their services online, and Life Church was a big part of sharing their platform with anybody that wanted it, and that got people thinking, well, what kind of platform could we use that fits us? And that's been really cool, and our church was really quick to adapt to technology. So we've had regular Bible studies, we've had church services televised, and we'll start little watch parties on Facebook, and there'll be 6 or 7 or 8 of us all watching together, and we'll just say a couple comments. But just not feeling alone has been
Yeah.
really big for me, and that's been huge. So my faith has been part of that, and my church
Yeah.
family, coworkers, and that's just big. I feel bad for anyone that doesn't have somebody. So we've had a couple people that they might be single or away from home or something, and we've made a point to include them in as many family things as we can. But I just can't imagine being alone right now. So I'd encourage you, if you've got a neighbor or something like that. Yeah, I don't really see anybody over at their house very often. Don't assume, go knock on the door, leave a note, or leave them a
Yeah.
roll of toilet paper in their mailbox or something, because we all just need somebody. So
Yeah, that's
that helps me a lot.
fantastic. I love
Yeah,
that. I love the way you said that all feeds your soul. That's great.
it really
So
does.
we're going to start moving toward wrapping up, but I have some COVID-19 lightning round questions for you. So
Okay. I was
just,
not told there would be a quiz.
just off the cuff,
Okay.
nothing serious.
Yeah, I
So
know.
what part of sheltering at home or sheltering in place have you come to appreciate the most?
I think taking time and being mindful has been really, really good, because you start to be more intentional. Well, now we can do takeout. Well, where do we want to do takeout? Where do we normally eat? Where are we maybe worried that they're not going to make it? Because I haven't seen a lot of cars in the parking lot when I've driven by. So,
Right.
just being intentional, like we need to go spend some money with them and make sure we tip our server, because she's really sweet and we don't know how she's doing right now.
Yeah.
So I think just being mindful, like I'm going to the store, what am I going to pick out? Because it's going to feel like a war zone. And
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever had to be that mindful before. And that's helped us make better choices and budget our time and our money more
Yeah.
intentionally, which has been a real win.
I love that. I love that. Um, I'm going to ask this question. We have another question coming in. Does Chris hook up with community renewal activities with his neighbors? Now seems a great time to do that.
Yeah, I've been kicking that around a little bit. Yeah, I just I just got a copy of my HOA uh, contract, or whatever you want to call it, the set
Right.
of laws,
Right.
the bylaws. And
Yeah.
that was kind of amusing because I don't know what I've disobeyed. I've got a treehouse in the backyard that probably was supposed to go to committee. Little things like that. It's silly, but we do have a public space at the corner that's just kind of an empty lot sitting area. It's got a couple plugins. I've been looking at that, and that would be a really fun thing to do, like a block party.
Mhm.
But I also know a lot of my neighbors are older, and I don't want to put them in a tough spot and having to say no.
Right.
So haven't I'm on next door, and so I've made myself available. Hey, I could run and get groceries. I'm in stores all day long, so I could go pick you up some groceries and drop them off in your porch and things like that. And I know a little bit community renewal. I was in there talking to them just a couple months before all this started, and learning about what all those signs mean, and that's pretty fascinating.
Yes.
The community houses are going to be so cool when they're both finished. I haven't had the opportunity to do it yet, but I know they're doing a lot of good work, and I think our neighborhood could use kind of a bonding event when everybody's feeling a little more comfortable. I think that'll be really fun.
Yeah, that's great. Chris, what do you want your customers to know? First of all, how can they reach you? And what would you like them to know about this time?
Sure. I think
They...
it's important to know that, somebody's listening, and if I don't have the answer, I'll go find an answer. And I think just kind of getting to my sales philosophy. My philosophy is you treat people like you'd want to be treated, and you watch out for their best interest, even if it doesn't immediately benefit you. Like there might be somebody else in town that actually has a better line on something that I'm asked about than I do. Maybe I noticed, like SCI has something in stock and I don't. Well, I'd rather I'd rather them have the stuff and be safe than not. So I'll connect them with that resource, even if it doesn't help me. And I think if you do that enough for people, where you tell them something or you give them something that didn't directly benefit you, I think that really establishes trust, because they realize, oh, he's not just in it for him; he's in it for both of us. I think that's really helpful. So as far as if you wanted to reach me, email's probably the best. Sometimes I'm in a call, sometimes in a meeting, but I'm pretty quick responding. So if you just wanted to email me, I'm just Chris, CHRIS, at treatssolutions.com. A lot of S's in there, but Chris at treatssolutions.com. And if you wanted to text me or call me, I'm fine with that. I share my number pretty freely. I'm at the 405-880-1621. So happy to get calls and texts. Emails give me a little more time to formulate my response and get you a better response. But I love talking. When I'm on the road, I'd like nothing better than to talk to somebody. So
okay,
happy
great.
to
Well, and
kick some
I
ideas
know
around.
personally that you've been very responsive whenever I needed anything. So I really appreciate that. Well, hey, thank you for taking the time to come talk to us today. And it's been interesting to see how you're kind of connecting with other organizations and businesses to help them get back into their business space.
Yeah, it's been really fun. It's nice to get to know your neighbors.
Well, I appreciate you being here today. Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks, Cari. Appreciate it.
Have a great day. So I really appreciate him coming, and we do have a lineup for the rest of the week. So I encourage you to join us in the about this time every day. We'll have a new guest to talk about how they're getting back into doing business in this economy. So at 20 West Works, we are still working on reopening. I'm actually interested in forming a cohort of businesses who are interested in working together, taking the time to think through how best to get back into the economy, how we can pivot, what we need to do to maybe change or update our business plan in order to serve the folks that we do serve. So if that sort of rings a bell with you or sparks something in you, let me know. It would be something that's somewhat long-term, 3 to 4 months or more, where we get together a couple of times a week by, online at first, and then possibly together at face-to-face, and just talk about, kind of support each other as we get back into the economy. You can email at info@20westmain.space. That's info@20westmain.space. Or you can also call me or text me 405-816-4496. And we're hoping to have the co-working space back open. That's a challenge because folks are very concerned about where they work and proximity, but also we've been very isolated over the last couple of months. So this is an opportunity to sort of be in connection with other folks. But we're looking to reopen our co-working space at the 1st of June, and it will likely be mostly dedicated desks. So as a member, you'll have your own specific desk. That's your place, and no one else shares that space with you. So you kind of get the best of both worlds, where you can have your dedicated space, but also the opportunity to have access to meeting space, high-speed internet, and have other folks around you to sort of encourage you as you go about your business. So thank you for being with us today, and be sure and join us again tomorrow as we talk with another Shawnee business owner. We appreciate it. Have a great day.